Welcome to another episode of Garmology, Fun with Outerwear. I'm Nick Johannesson, the host of Garmology podcast and writer of Wilderstad blog. And today's topic is this one, the Nigel Cabourn Mallory jacket. Now, I'm going to be doing a bit of a history lesson as well today because there are some interesting historical links with this jacket. So stay with me. The Mallory jacket isn't a new jacket. It's actually been made for 18 years now, since 2003, and the Cabourn collection, the Ascent of Cabourn, which was released on the 50th anniversary of Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay climbing Mount Everest back in 1953. The jacket was originally called the Sherpa jacket, briefly. It was then called the Tenzing jacket. Tenzing actually means thought holder, interesting fun fact. The Tenzing jacket after Edmund Hillary's Sherpa, Tenzing Norgay. And the reason why it was the sort of Tenzing Sherpa jacket was the inspiration. Old photos of Sherpas working on the slopes of Everest, wearing wool jackets with protection on the shoulders and arms because they were carrying loads of equipment. The original version of this jacket, slightly different pockets, and had Kevlar on the shoulders, which was more similar to what the Sherpas were wearing. I don't know if Kevlar was around in the 50s, might not have been, but they certainly had protection to stop the stuff wearing through their jackets. Now, after the initial Tenzing version of the jacket, it was renamed Mallory after George Mallory, who may or may not have reached the top of Mount Everest back in 1924 with his companion Sandy Irvine. As the law has it, they made their third attempt to reach the top and went missing. They've never found the camera that might have proved they reached the top. They've never found the photo of George Mallory's wife Ruth in his pocket, which he was intending to leave at the summit. But they did in 1999, say that's almost 70 years later, find his well-preserved body on the slopes of Everest. He wasn't actually wearing tweed then. He was wearing a gabardine outer with wool, and remarkably, the layers of clothes were very well preserved. It was worn through to his frozen skin on the back as he was lying face down. He had head injuries, which probably accounted for why he died on the slopes. But they never really found out whether he reached the summit or not, and that has been a topic of debate ever since. But Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay reached the summit in 1953 together. It has been made a good point of, which is good because it's often the explorer who gets all the credit and the guy who helped him up there is forgotten. Anyhow, we'll move on. This is the Mallory jacket from 2012 in a Harris tweed called or described as Army Stripes. I'll put a close-up on the screen here so you can see what it looks like. This was the first one I got. It's got the olive ventile patches. When they moved from the Tenzing jacket to the Mallory model, they changed the Kevlar to ventile, which of course gave them another wartime history to mine. But it's quite simple. But the reason it's been made for 18 years since is that it's a very effective silhouette. It's not the sort of typical slightly fusty like your granddad wears, the sort of traditional 2-3 pocket button Harris tweed jacket, the sort you really don't maybe want. But this one, completely different silhouette, completely different look. Is it the patch pockets, the big bellows pockets here? Is it the nice little one on the chest? is it the ventile details? It's hard to know really, but it is a very good look, which is also why it has been made, as I said, for 18 years, but in Harris tweed, in jersey, in linen, in cotton. Nigel Cabourn has been banging them out every year since, in summer and winter versions, and they do look good. So let's have a quick look through. As I mentioned, Harris tweed outer, the big pockets, only cotton lined here, actually no lining inside the pocket, which is a shame because it would have made it that much more usable. Lovely horn buttons, and as I mentioned, the ventile details, not only here but as on here. And you can see that this is very close to what the Sherpas were wearing on that grainy old photo. Now, a single flap at the back, otherwise all you see is the ventile, and there is a fourth button to do up and a throat tab, so it can be used even in the cold. It's really only Harris tweed with cotton lining, but I can vouch for the fact that it does actually work pretty well even when cycling in around 0 Celsius. Wouldn't go up Mount Everest in it, but it's not as if many of us do these days, is it? So let's have a look inside. What do we find there? Well, there is 2 pockets this size and 1 pocket this side. The lining in the arms is a viscose, so it's pretty traditional stuff. You'll see that it's the authentic Nigel Cabourn label, and this has the centenary anniversary Harris tweed label inside. I'm not actually sure this was made in 2010, which is when the actual anniversary for Harris tweed was, but it's a nice touch regardless. This one doesn't in fact have a ventile label in, but most of them have that as well. So that's this one. Let's take a look at another one. Now, this is one of the variants. As I mentioned, they've been made in all sorts of manner of tweeds, linens, cottons, camouflage patterns and whatnot. Now this one, as I recall, 2013, this is one of the crazy ones. Crazy as in that it has been put together using a variety of different Harris tweeds. Very distinctive, not as random as you might think, because all of the crazy ones from that season look exactly the same, so it's not as if there was some sort of tweed randomizer working and you might have got any sort of variants, but it's still effective. And I don't think all the tweeds are well chosen, mind you, but it does look good. Especially the brown herringbone is good, and the deep green fixed colour. It's basically the same as this one, apart from one detail. It does have the ventile shoulders, but it has leather patches on the arms, whereas this has ventile. Subtle detail, but it does mean it's sort of arguably kind of different jacket. And this one does actually have the ventile label as well as the Harris tweed label inside. Same amount of pockets and so forth. Now, I'm usually a size 42 chest. I say usually. I'm not quite at the moment, hence it's looking a bit tight. And I wear the Mallory then in a size 50. So realistically, I'm sized down the size. The odd thing about the Mallory waistcoat, get a matching waistcoat, which is actually very nice with labels and all, is that I need a 52 in that. So don't make the mistake of ordering a size 50 waistcoat and a size 52 jacket, because you really need them the other way around, or pay close attention to measurements, or ideally try it on first. Now, mountaineering, Sherpas, Everest, a lot of history going on there. So George Mallory tried for Everest in 1924, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay managed it in 1953, but that isn't the end of Nigel Cabourn's fascination with mountaineering, or tweed jackets, as we can see with. Now, this is the Nigel Cabourn 1930s Sherpa jacket, so definitely still sort of in the mountaineering, Everest, sort of midway between 1924 and Mallory and 1953 and Edmund Hillary. Now, I'm not sure what the actual inspiration was for this one. This is a quite different jacket from the Tenzing Mallory version. Still Harris tweed, still got some ventile. Doesn't really share any sort of design with them. And of course, it was made in 2016, and with the internet being wiped clean at intervals, hard to find any information about the inspiration. You can have a look at it though. It does have distinctive features which are entirely different. So it does have the 3 regular buttons at the front, typical horn as Cabourn uses. Difference is that it does have 2 top ones which are press studs, which is pretty unusual on this jacket. It has patch pockets, but they're not bellows ones. Closed here with a horn button, but they also have access at the back so you can warm your hands. Press studs on the pockets here. Kind of a modern touch for a 1930s jacket, I think. Now, unusually, it is Harris tweed, but it's also a waxed Harris tweed. So it's intended to be more showerproof. I don't think we'll say waterproof, that implies that it actually won't let water through, but adding some wax to the Harris tweed means that water might disperse more easily than regular Harris tweed, which of course is no problem taking out in the slight rain as well there, and it will still be nice and warm. Now, what is very different about this jacket is the hood. It has a removable ventile hood, so you can button it on and off, and it has these hangman's noose knot, pretty much like the cameraman, which we'll come back to in a later episode. So it's got these wooden bits, toggles, and the hangman's noose, and I have to say, very simple hood, but it is ventile, and it will probably keep a bit of wind and rain out if you were caught short. It can be unbuttoned and put in a pocket or whatever if it's not being used. At the back, there's a kind of baffling flap which doesn't lead anywhere. It's just got a press stud there to allow you to fasten it. No idea what the idea there was, but it does have these rather interesting airing holes with the ventile surround, which could be useful. I don't know, it's hard to tell. And on the inside, it does have 2 pockets, and it has the Harris tweed and ventile and authentic labels. Now, this isn't a jacket I've actually used much, and I think design-wise it's a bit of a mismatch. Hard to tell what the plan was, and I think it probably wasn't a huge success in that it was only made for the 2016 autumn-winter season. Still, as tweed jackets goes, it's an interesting design. I do look forward to trying it out and using it more, and as I do the Mallory's. I think they're a really splendid design. As I mentioned about the sizing, be careful about the sizing. There has been talk about them having been recut in recent years to a slimmer version, so do try them on before paying. And they're not cheap. You can often find them in sales. You can find them on Grailed, eBay, Market even. So it's worth looking around. Even Cabourn sales tend to have a few at the end of the season. So all in all, I think it's a cool design. I like it. Definitely one of Nigel Cabourn's most enduring and best designs. So yeah, thumbs up from me. And that was all for this time. See you again next time. If you'd like me to cover any specific jackets that you may have seen I have, then leave a comment. You can follow me on Instagram as well as Dad, also the blog, and I recommend Garmology podcast. And thanks for now. Bye bye.